Hello everybody, I am the Black Sigma, or you could just call me Eric, and Marshall. Are you willing to talk to us? I was wondering if we could talk to you. Sorry, Bambina, but I'm off to roam the lands, like a tumbleweed on the wild prairie. Like a gunslinger loading his six-shooter, I say a little prayer. Grr. What was that all about, Mr. Wright? I think he was just too hungry to talk. You're just saying that because his stomach was growling. You have no idea what he was talking about either. Well, in any case, we need to get cracking on this investigation. He's just too hungry to talk, you say? Take that! That smell. Reminds me of Texas. So, Officer Marshall, you're from Texas? No, I just saw a special on television the other day. Is this from my baby? Yeah, Ms. Starr? What's this? What? What's wrong? A filet steak lunch. I see. I don't see. I wonder what it means. Alright, Bambina, you win. Ask anything. Finally, it seems like he's willing to talk. Excellent. Officer Marshall, you're in charge for the evidence room, right? You got good eyes, partner. It's an easy job and I'm grateful for it. Actually, Officer Meekins at the detention center told us. That poor little doggy. Poor guy. I keep getting his name wrong and calling him Meekly. He told us something. He said that when the stabbing occurred, you weren't at your station. Well, maybe I shouldn't be telling you this. But since I got demoted from detective 2 years ago, well, might not look like it, but I lost my fire for the job, you know. So, what were you doing around 5:15 when the murder took place? Well, I reckon I was galloping down the highway on the back of my steed, Zippy. Note, he was riding down the highway on his horse named Zippy. There's no need for people here, anyhow. These newfangled machines do a bang-up job of keeping an eye on the place. You mean the security camera system? I don't take to machines much. Kinda like that stewed broccoli they sneak into your steak, you know? Right. Ms. Starr told us something. She said you were a detective until 2 years ago. It was always my dream to be a rawhide wrangler on the scene of a crime. That's all gone now, like a drinking hole in a prairie fire. You're still investigating the SL-9 incident with Ms. Starr, aren't you? That was my case. It's all solved on the record books, but it smells like a bad game of poker. I can't let it go. Anyhow, that's all there is to it. What kind of case was it, anyway? We've heard the name so many times, but no one tells us what actually happened. There are some things you're better off not knowing, Bambina. Man, imagine sneezing while shaving with a knife. That would have ended horribly for me. Anyway, that case is officially dead as of 2 days ago. 2 days ago? The day of our case? That's right. The evidence transferals. Edgeworth was talking about the transferals too. I know what maybe 2 of the machines in here do. Only 2 of them? There must be a dozen. Like I said, Bambina, me and machines, well, I like them about as much as I like stewed cauliflower with my steaks. Didn't you say broccoli earlier? The easiest ones to understand are these here security cameras. Those are the ones Meekins mentioned. If nothing happens, the tapes are automatically erased every few hours. And Officer Meekins and Detective Goodman, are they on one of those tapes? I reckon they might be. You're the security guard and you reckon? One more thing. When you go into the evidence room, you need an ID card. Thus the card reader by the door. The card reader leaves a record of every ID card that passes through. So this is the ID card record. Hey, I've seen that somewhere before. Sorry, Bambina, can't show you more than that. Huh? I haven't heard whether this is related to the case yet. Mr. Wright, I saw a number on that record just now. I've seen that number before. It was Goodman's ID. Sorry, but could you explain what this whole transferal thing is about? We keep only evidence from solved cases in this room. They're kept here under the presiding detective supervision for 2 years, so we can reinvestigate them if it turns out there was a mistake, see? So what happens to the evidence after that period? It goes to sleep forever in the underground vault at the county sheriff's department. That's what we call transferal. We do it every February. I see now. Transferal is like a funeral for old cases. 2 years after a case is solved, it's closed forever. Dead. So what I'm hearing is the statute of limitations doesn't apply to a case that was already solved. It just is 2 years instead of 15. Never to be reopened again. Never to be reinvestigated. And that happened to SL-9 2 days ago. Except for the knife that was stolen. Anyway, I have proof that that card is related to that case. See this? This is the victim's ID card. The one that was on the ground in the parking lot. The number on this is 5842189. Officer Marshall, show us that ID card record again. 5842189. Look, the fourth number. It's a perfect match. It was used at 5:14, right before the stabbing. What's more, there's only one of them cards in the world. So when the incident occurred, Detective Goodman was in the evidence room. But wait, what did Officer Meekins say? Sir, I entered the evidence room and asked the man to display his ID card. So you asked Detective Goodman to show his ID card. What did he do? That's the thing! Suddenly he pointed a knife at me. If he had his ID card then, why would he have pointed a knife at Meekins instead of, "Alright, compadre, you win. I guess I can give you this ID card record." I've got an idea. Maybe I should show this list to other people with IDs here. See if they went in the room. However, we've got a crime scene to investigate first. A CS to I, if you will. It is quiet. Investigation must be over here. So this is the evidence room? It really is kinda like a graveyard. Graveyards are supposed to have grass and trees. This feels more like a morgue. Nice try, Mr. Wright. You can't scare me. Detective Gumshoe. Eek! Whoa! Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. I wouldn't recommend going around smacking ghosts on the head, pal. So is it true what I heard? Right-ho, please, do I look like a selfish man? Heck, if anyone asked me, sir, can I borrow $50, I'd give them $50 no problem. So go ahead, investigate that room to your heart's desire. Knock yourself out. Yeah, it's true. So Chief of Police Gant will loan anyone $50? Even me? Oh, so that's what you were talking about? Actually, I was put in charge of the investigation for today. Just for today? Boss for a day. But guess what? You got permission from the chief, so now you're boss for a day. Gee, thanks. First of all, you'll want to have this. Evidence room floor plans. Nice. Let me take a good look at those. It's a big L-shaped room with lockers on the left wall in the first bend and the right wall after the bend. Okay. I bet the security camera's position is gonna be relevant to that. Gumshoe. Are any of these ID numbers yours? This is the ID card record of people who came in here on the day of the stabbing. I heard the rumors. So it was Goodman who came in here at the time of the murder. Whoa! What is it? That second number. It's not your ID number, is it, Detective Gumshoe? Mr. Edgeworth. What? The second number on this list belongs to Mr. Edgeworth. What? Huh. Why would Edgeworth have come to the evidence room? And Miles got to the prosecutor's office at 5:12 p.m. Okay. I was just checking that tracks because we heard there was a half-hour drive between these places. Okay. Anyway, so Detective Gumshoe, your boss for a day? That's right, it's an honor. After all, the murder took place right here in the police department. But if you're boss, why are you all alone? Where are your underlings? They're using yesterday's findings to prepare for tomorrow's trial. In other words, you got kicked out of the investigation again. I'm adamant, though. I'm gonna take control and put this case to rest. In my own evidence locker, pal. You have a locker in here too, Detective Gumshoe? Of course. I am a detective after all. They gave me a locker that only I can open, pal. Only you can open? So each locker belongs to a specific detective. Noted. I'll always believe in Mr. Edgeworth, no matter what happens. So, Mr. Edgeworth is with the inquiry committee now, right? They're trying to figure out who's responsible for the mess-up in court today. I see. I guess this is what you call fate. Mr. Edgeworth just can't get away from that case. That case? Yeah, that case. The SL-9 incident, of course. What? That was the beginning of the end for Mr. Edgeworth. How was Edgeworth related to SL-9? This place is more high-tech than you might think. Every locker is fixed so that only one detective can open it. Using their ID cards? Well, that's the thing, pal. ID cards can be lost. Why, I'm on my third card since entering the force already. That sounds like a lot. And it also means that maybe there is another copy of Goodman's card. Wait. His unfinished lost item report, where he didn't get his own ID number right, was to report that he lost an ID card. Meaning there were two cards, meaning one of the Goodmans is probably a fake. I'll have fun proving that in court. Yeah, but even I can't lose my own right hand. Right hand? Oh, you mean your fingerprint? Exactly, pal. The lock for each locker is coded with a fingerprint. So, the only locker we can open is our own. Funny, they look like normal lockers. These are the latest model. There's a trick to the handles, see? The handles? On the other side of the handle is a sensor, and if the wrong person touches it, zap, you get a shock? If that's what happened, my hand would be black and smoking every day. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. Right. Anyway, time to examine this crime scene a little. Car door, handcuffs attached to the frame. Cloth sticking out of an evidence locker? Wonder if Detective Gumshoe put this in here. There you go, pal. Making me out to be some kind of slob. I'm not responsible for the evidence here. That said, I bet that evidence locker was opened recently. How do you know? If you leave things hanging out like that, the evidence gets dirty or ripped. The guard checks on that kind of stuff and notifies the detective responsible. How many times have I had him breathing down my neck about some silly evidence? Sounds like Detective Gumshoe leaves evidence hanging out a lot too. But he doesn't tuck his shirt underneath that trench coat either. If you're gonna talk to behind someone's back, don't do it right in front of them, pal. Huh, a bad fishing pole. Ah, that's my personal pole. Never did get around to using it. Wait, I've seen that metal detector somewhere before. Right, pal, that's that metal detector. The one that led to solving of the case out on God Lake, remember? Alright. Wow, that feels like it was ages ago now. And, don't think I've seen this one before. Oh, that's a bug sweeper. I'm sure it'll come in handy in solving some case sooner or later. That cheap-looking box? You can't judge a person or a machine by their cover, you gotta look at their heart. Bug sweeping? As in, can be used to detect bugs? What's this? Blood? It's a little worn, but there's definitely a handprint here. Looks like someone tried to wipe it off. Mr. Wright, what if there are other bloodstains left in the room? We should check with the luminol. But what if... Because I see there's paint lying around. What if that isn't a bloodstain at all? Oh, I had the wrong button to use it. There we go. Okay, it is, in fact, actually blood. I knew it! This is someone's right handprint! What? What's the matter, detective? This locker, it's mine. It's yours? Please, you have to help me. When they come to take me away, promise you'll testify that I wouldn't harm a fly. You'll do that for me, won't you, pals? Sure. I'm counting on you guys, believe me, you can't trust the police. What? But you're a detective. Anyway, time to just spray everything. I'm assuming I'm wanted to spray the open locker there, but... Oh, there's also a bunch of blood on the floor. Must have been one massive pool of blood. Never seen anything like it. I'm not a professional. What's your opinion, detective? Pale blue blood? Maybe Detective Goodman was actually an alien? This proves that something really did happen in front of this locker. I'll make a note of it on the floor plans. Hey, if you didn't want my opinion, you shouldn't have asked. No blood on the open locker, though. No blood on the cloth dangling from the... Oh, hello. There is a bloody handprint on the recently opened locker, though. Why am I getting a reaction here? There's no reason for the murderer to touch this spot if he fled out the door. This just might be something significant. Hey, that's some pretty amazing stuff you got there, pal. What, this? It's called luminol testing fluid. Where'd you get your hands on that, huh? I'd like to get some too. I'll just borrow $50 from the chief. Where did you get this, Emma? I always buy it by mail order. Well, I'd better jot this handprint down on the floor plans. Interesting. Now time to examine the stuff we can see with our own eyes. Someone left a glove here, but only one. Detective Gumshoe, maybe? There you go, pal, making me out to be some kind of absent-minded detective. That's evidence from the case, you know? You mean SL-9? Does have the tag on it. Well, someone must have broken something big to make all these pieces. Detective Gumshoe, perhaps? There you go, pal, making me out to be some kind of hooligan. That's apparently from the case. The case? SL-9 incident, pal. See the sticker on one of the pieces there? Another piece of SL-9 evidence. Let's take a closer look at it. I wonder what shape these pieces were in before it was ever broke. You wanna try to put it back together? Good luck, pal. That's no job for amateurs. Why, I spent a good 3 hours on that before I had to give up. That's why I always carry around a tube of glue. Well, this piece looks like the bottom. Let's try to put the rest in place. Ah, reconstruction. Oh, I see. We're given a specific side to see if we can find a piece that fits. It looks like this one. Yep. First piece in place. Next, is not that one. It's the other one with the big old knobbly bit. Yeah, this one. And then this one's already in the right position. Huh, there's blood on this too. This one. Then along the top Not that one. Also not that one. The edge is a lot smoother than that. Oh, this is also a top piece. There we go. And then this one. And then... doesn't look that sharp, but... weird. It feels like I'm missing a piece, or apparently that corner was sharper than it looked. And I am still missing a piece. Huh? Well, I think we did it, but some of the pieces are missing. Yeah, I got that far in 2 minutes myself. That's the problem. Were some pieces stolen? Bet they were missing to begin with. Still, doesn't seem like the most stable kind of jar. I kind of understand how it got broken. Jar pieced back together from fragments found at a crime scene. Piece is still missing. Better take a closer look at it, considering the blood splatter. Hey look, they're hard to make out, but there's some dark red stains. Looks like blood. Do you think Goodman's blood got on it when he was stabbed? Not likely. This blood looks like it's been here for months, maybe longer. This jar was evidence in SL-9. That might be when it got blood on it. Wow, the hole goes straight through. Huh? This thing doesn't have a bottom? That's weird. I wonder which side is up. Better yet, what's the purpose of a bottomless jar? At least it doesn't collect dust inside, right? Well, I think, last but not least, look, this one's open, and the red indicator light above the door is lit. That locker's coded with Detective Goodman's fingerprint. Detective Goodman's locker. Are you sure it's okay to leave it open like that? Well, it'd be hard to get it open again if we closed it. It's empty. Must have taken the contents elsewhere. Since the door time. What? They're talking about the purpose of art, but they made the blue badger in the evidence room. They made the blue badger in the evidence room? Hold up. Before I go talking to Gumshoe again, they made the blue badger in the evidence room where the murder took place. If I spray this handprint and the blue badger has blood on it, okay, it was worth checking. Anyway, Gumshoe, anything you can tell us about literally everything? Victim's ID. Murder weapon. Someone else did it. Blue badger. How do you feel about it? The art is misunderstood. Was dancing proudly on the day of the ceremony. A lot of people going in and out after that. Said it was shameful. Jeez. Wait, this was... oh, the parking lot floor plans. So, Switchblade Knife, SL-9 connection, first time Edgeworth was feared. Oh. You're saying that it was Edgeworth's first case? The one that got him the title of Demon Prosecutor? Right. But there are loose ends because of the forged evidence. What about the glove? Oh, if he sees evidence and doesn't know anything about it, he doesn't say anything about it. Yeah, of course. He was found dead at the same time at the prosecutor's office. Yeah, we know. So on the floor plans, we have a puddle of blood where presumably the stabbing took place, and handprints leading on the lockers on the way out. It is possible one of those is Meekins' handprint. I mean, his hand was cut open too. Oh, well, something I presented got him some SL-9 dialogue. Now that was a bloody, violent case. Violent? So, 'twas a murder? A serial killing? Serial killing? Maybe I don't want to get involved in this after all. But the killer made a mistake and Mr. Edgeworth built his case around that to nab him. This was 2 years ago? That put Mr. Edgeworth right in the spotlight, and started the rumor mill. Rumors about forged evidence. It was supposed to be all cleaned up with a transferal the other day. Was the last job he ever did. Detective Goodman, that is. Huh? What do you mean? Detective Goodman was the detective in charge of the SL-9 incident, see? So that switchblade knife? The victim took the knife out of the evidence locker himself? Hey pal, look at the time. Was there something you needed to be going to? It's just that Mr. Edgeworth's inquiry committee should be letting out soon. I'm going to give them my report for the day. Might help, you know. Report? You mean the note written on the back of that flyer? The one that says nothing but no problems? Hey, it's Mr. Edgeworth we're talking about. I'm sure he can use a report like this. I believe in him. Who needs enemies when you've got friends like Detective Gumshoe? I'm off, pal. Later. Should probably see what Edgeworth has to say too. Ah, in that case, he's probably up in the... I have to go to the parking lot. But he's probably up in his office. And we will go talk to our dear friend Miles Edgeworth in the next episode. Bye.